Okay, so it's a really pleasure to welcome you today to this workshop on somatic inner child healing. My name is Ilona, and really what I do is that I help women unlock their radiant feminine essence. So then they're enjoying better life and better relationships and deeper intimacy. And so, really, how do we get there? It's very often through a journey of healing trauma and shedding the programming, the limiting beliefs that we might have absorbed and taken as our own from our childhood all the way to the adult life. So, I actually have a program that I guide the women through. And this program includes hypnotherapy, somatic therapy, lots of inner child healing. And really the end result is that every person can fully feel liberated and free to express themselves as they truly are. And so, during the program, we work on topics like anxiety or low self-worth or feeling not good enough, or maybe experiencing fears of rejection, judgment, abandonment. And so I mentioned this because today, as we will later move into the practical part of this workshop, it's good to work on one topic. And we'll talk about several different things, but maybe just have that as an intention. Maybe there's something that you have been recently feeling or for a long time feeling that's a bit tricky to overcome. And so it may have a deeper root. So maybe you'll choose that for the practical session later today. And so during this program and in the work, as I was saying, we use many different techniques, but the inner child healing is really at the core of everything that we do, because it's so important to understand what the inner child is and how it actually impacts our lives in like today, even though we're talking about a child, which is obviously from a long time ago, but for several different reasons, it's very key to really heal and connect with that inner child. So I'm just gonna talk more about that today. So let's dive straight into it. So what is the inner child? The inner child is this younger part of ourselves that is stored in our subconscious mind and our body. It really is a collection of different experiences, emotions, and beliefs. And so, we all have some, or most of us have memories from the childhood. And then some of these are really happy and they're awesome and we like to think about them. But today we'll rather talk about the more negative ones because they are the ones that impact us negatively. And this is why we're here today, so we can help that inner child. So you can actually teach or learn how to reparent your inner child and how to heal different aspects. And so this, as I said, the inner child lives in the subconscious part of our brain. So just to explain that, our mind has two different parts, the conscious and the subconscious. And the conscious part is only 5 to 10%. It's the subconscious that's 90 to 95% governing our behavior. And this is it was very interesting to me when I learned many years ago about this, because I was like, oh, so out of 95%, I'm actually not deciding consciously how I behave. It's a program, in other words. And so this programming is created in the very early years of our lives. It's from the time of conception until around 6 or 7. And so this is really when our inner child is formed. And so when we talk about the inner child, it is generally the part of us that is from 0 or 1 to 6 or 7 years old. And, as I was saying, we can have positive experiences and we can also have negative experiences. And so what do I actually mean by negative experiences? I assume that maybe you have heard the word of trauma. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. And so, there are many, many, many different definitions of trauma. I very much personally resonate with the work of Gabor Mate. He also has an amazing film movie, The Wisdom of Trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's, in his words, trauma is not what happens to somebody, but it's rather how that person internalizes and processes the event. So it's more about how we understand it, how we live it, and how we react to it than the actual event that happened. And this is really powerful, because what we can do when we're healing, we cannot change the past, but we can change our perception of the past. And so that's how we can actually come to resolution of trauma. It's a psychological wound that occurs as a result of some distressing situation. So how I see it is, as we move through life, as we go to work or we travel, if everything that happens around us is kind of normal to us, the life moves through us. But once there is something shocking or surprising or an accident, suddenly it shakes us. It can freeze us in time. It kind of gets stuck. It doesn't move through our systems. In other words, our nervous system gets dysregulated and overstimulated. And then as a result of that, we create a trauma response to overcome that moment. And what happens with trauma is that very often that trauma response doesn't complete itself, that reaction, and it gets stuck in our systems. Again, in other words, it means that the inner child, when it got traumatized, sometimes in the childhood, gets frozen in time. It's like it gets stuck in that situation. And because the subconscious mind doesn't have a concept of linear time, that concept of past, present, and future only exists in the prefrontal cortex, it's just the thinking part of the brain, the most developed part of the brain. Because the inner child is living there, it is still in some way reliving that experience now. And this is why it's really key to connect to it and work with it. So, because sometimes I have women, they're like, yes, I know I was abused when I was 3 years old, but I'm 40 now, and this happened 37 years ago. Why should I bother about it? This is so long ago. And it's a misconception, it's not like that part of that person is somewhere there in time. No, that little child is living in that body of the adult person and is impacting the today's experience. So does this make sense when I speak about it? Yeah, if you have questions anytime, raise your hand, let me know, and I can clarify. And so then the other thing is, sometimes I have clients that they come to me, I suffer with anxiety, for example, but I never experienced trauma. And so there's also different types of trauma. We call some trauma with big T and some trauma with small t. So the big T trauma are accidents, natural disasters, sexual abuse, any physical abuse, really big things, you can say in that way. But we also have a trauma with small t, and that it's something that may not be so obvious, because it could be a parent that is regularly not meeting the needs of a child, and it's doing it repeatedly for a prolonged period of time. And that also causes trauma that can cause even complex PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. If there is a parent and a child, and the child's emotional or material, physical needs are for prolonged periods of time not met, it will also traumatize them. And this is what we'll talk about a lot today. So we have needs as kids for, as I was saying, physical needs, material needs, for a safety, for a home, for clothes, for water, for food. But we also have a lot of emotional needs. We really need to feel safe. We need to feel loved, accepted, respected, seen, heard. We need the connection. We need attention. And so this is where I see actually a lot of trauma coming from. It's kids growing up in households where, for whatever reason, the parents weren't really able to show up as the child needed to. So it doesn't always have to be that when we face issues in adult life, low self-worth, fears, anxiety, depression, that it must be because of one huge big event that happened in the childhood. It can really just be from coming from a parent that for whatever reason wasn't able to meet the needs. And then there can be many reasons. This can be because it's a single mom with 2 kids and she's struggling financially and she's always at work. It can be a father that has issues with alcohol. It can be somebody that has maybe narcissism, and they're really not able to have empathy with their kids. Maybe it's a parent that has unresolved trauma of their own from their childhood, and so they're totally emotionally unavailable. Maybe they don't feel good enough, and so they always criticize the child because they're never happy with how they do things, because they develop perfectionism. It's endless, the reasons that how that can happen. And so what's really fascinating is that if you have that little child experiencing any of this neglect, even abuse, because of the child's capacity, the level of their consciousness at that age, they're never actually blaming the parent. What happens is that the child starts blaming itself, and it makes itself the problem. So, for example, if it has a mom that is very often drunk and physically abuses him, the child doesn't think, oh, mom has a problem with alcohol, that's why she's not being nice to me. It just says, oh, what did I do wrong? Oh God, I upset mommy. I haven't done something well. Or, there must be something wrong with me because this is why my mom is doing this to me. And there is a survival reason for this, because the child's survival depends on the parent. And so it cannot consciously admit to itself that there's something wrong with the parent, because it would threaten its own survival by that. And so this is where it starts getting really really complicated for the child, because it starts creating these beliefs that there is something wrong with it, or it did something wrong. So that's just some examples what can happen. I'll talk a little bit about the beliefs now in the subconscious as well. So as I was saying, there is we have the subconscious mind, and it gets formed mostly from the time of conception to 6 or 7 years old. And it is because in this period of time, we are living in a state of brainwaves that's called a theta-brainwave state. And this is a slower brainwave state. It's actually the one above delta, and delta is sleep. So when kids are really young, that's how their wave brains are moving. They're very much slower. And so they are like sponges. They really just absorb everything from their environment. And especially, they absorb things from their parents and other figures with authority, which can be siblings, it can be grandparents, it can be even teachers at school. And we as humans don't develop it's called the filter for critical thinking until the age of 6 or 7. And so this filter, what it does is that we're able to distinguish what's true and what's not for us. But until that time, if you tell a kid that the sky is black, we'll believe you, because it doesn't have really the capacity to how do you say, to dispute that. And because, like, as parents, we are for kids as their gods, with the absolute authority, and they trust us. They see us as this perfect thing for a very long time until a certain age. And so in other words, we're so, as parents in that moment, we're really very powerful, because whatever we believe, we very much pass on to our kids. And so this is how the subconscious programming gets created. And you will see the influences of the beliefs of the parents in that programming of the child. You will see even the beliefs of the grandparents, because they spend time with them and they also pass them on to the parents. You will see impact of culture that you live, that the child is growing up in, religion, if there is religion, and all of this is getting downloaded into that software of the child, because the subconscious, it is it's like a software that we operate by. And when we have parents that, will tell a child, like, you're always so shy, you never speak, what's wrong with you? And, maybe the parent is thinking, oh, when I tell them, when I criticize them, I will point out the thing that they can work on, so they will improve. But the way the child hears this is, oh, shy is wrong, I don't speak, and there's something wrong with me. And they internalize this as a belief, with which they're obviously then going all the way to the adult life. And so even when we tell kids, like, we're going to a restaurant, so be a good girl now, like, don't express yourself, being angry is not accepted. The child is hearing, I cannot be myself, I cannot have emotions, I cannot express my emotions are not welcome, I have to actually limit myself, be this perfect child, so I'm accepted and loved and not rejected. Does this make sense? Again, I'll just check in with you guys.
Yes, yeah. Yes, it does.
Good. So it's really, I'm really passionate about, like, speaking about this, because I don't think that we as humans or parents or people that we know sometimes how powerful what we say and do can be. So one thing, it's, and you can maybe even just now bring it to yourself. Sometimes when I hear myself saying something about myself, if I really tune in, I can hear the voice of my mom, my dad, or my grandma. It's really not mine, but it's been there for so long, and it's like a broken record, that's running. And when I really want to check in, I sometimes am like, whose voice is this? And then you can hear it. And so then then what do you do with that? It's like, is this really my belief? Do I really believe in this? Is this beneficial for me? And if it's yes, amazing. If it's no, then it's time to let it go and reprogram the subconscious, because it's probably not helping you. Yes. So it can really negatively impact our lives. There is another way kids learn, and it's also through mirroring. And so, it's the way we drink, how we walk, but it also goes to the moments when they learn how to manage their emotions, how the parents manage their emotions, because kids don't really have the capacity to self-regulate emotions for many years. They actually need the primary caregiver to co-regulate with. And here it's all about the nervous system, and then developing the attachment style for the future relationships. It's very much a lot around how is the mom or the primary caregiver able to regulate her own emotions, and therefore be a safe space for the co-regulation of the child. In other words, or in practical terms, if the child gets angry and the mom hasn't worked on her anger, she will do everything to suppress the child, maybe even get angry at it, because it will be difficult for her to just be present with that anger, with that energy of anger, because it will be triggering something in her if she hasn't worked it. And so then she might lash out. And so the child in this way is learning, again, two things. It's not safe to be angry. And if I am not happy with somebody else being angry, I'm going to yell at them, or I'm going to criticize them. So again, saying this so you can kind of take it in and be like, do I do this? Does this show up for me? Like, where is do I feel like this is happening in my life? Okay. And so we talked about the inner child, that it lives in the body, in the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is mostly programmed in the first 6-7 years of life. There's a lot of beliefs that go in there, and we download a lot of them from our parents and our surroundings. It can be the school as well, or any other systems that we're part of. And so coming back to the unmet needs, this is really important. So if a child is in a household where the needs that they have are not getting met, or they're met with criticism, shame, you're too needy, you always need something, why can't you ever do things on your own, I'm too busy, I can't do this now, I have a lot of work. Whenever the child is getting this messaging, it's like your needs are too much. The way the child starts behaving is, number one, that it stops expressing its own needs. And it starts suppressing them. And so what happens here is that it's a survival mechanism. So it's like, okay, I can't be asking for a hug because mom is just too busy, or I can't ask for this or that, or whatever they need. So they start suppressing them. And they start actually focusing outwardly on the needs of the parents. And because it becomes a way of avoiding any criticism or shame or whatever they were experiencing before. Now, this is really detrimental to the development of the self of the person, of their own identity. And it kind of starts disconnecting people from their bodies as well very often, and their emotions. And so then in adult life, that can very much show up like someone that, you know, goes to a restaurant and looks at the menu and they have totally no clue what to order, what to eat, if they're hungry, even what restaurant they want to go to, or what they want to wear, you know, from the basic things to really understanding like what do they need in a romantic relationship, or what job to do, what sparks them, what sparks this aliveness, you know, what's their purpose. It's very, very difficult for people to identify these things if in their childhood, whatever needs they were expressing, it was being suppressed. So that's one impact. And so the more you connect with your inner child, the more you will rediscover this, the more that will connect you to your true essence. You know, as we kind of get through these barriers of beliefs, the more we connect to ourselves, the happier, of course, we are after. And so here I also want to talk to something that we call the archetypes. In other words, it's a coping mechanism. It's a set of behaviors that we as kids adopt, develop in order to survive when, again, our needs are not being met by the natural way of simply asking for them. So this is an exercise. We have 6. And as I'll be talking about them, and I would just invite you to hear them, feel them, and see if any of these could apply to you. And it's very interesting because when I heard it for the first time, I was like, yeah, one of them. And then as I was moving through life, I started to realize that different ones pop up in different situations, and that I had maybe one very dominant, but the others were also there, even though at the beginning I was like, oh, definitely I don't have this, you know. So let's dive into these archetypes, and then you can tell me. So the first one is the helper. And so this is the helper one is it manifests as becoming this overly attentive and supportive towards other people, because the child believes that that's how they will get affection and approval. And here again, the child is learning to prioritize the needs of others over their own.
Yes.
And they're kind of hoping to become indispensable. It's like, if I'm always helpful and always here, I always get approval. Mom is happy. She suddenly gives me attention. She hugs me. So they get emotional validation. And the problem here is that the person or the child starts connecting their self-worth to this approval. So in other words, they don't feel worthy unless somebody tells them that they're great. And so it's the helper. It can also show up like it's almost a subconscious impulse. It's like you're not really choosing to do that, but you see somebody that they need help and you're like jumping over, and something in you, it's like, yes, and what can I do for you? And it could be, it's all of these archetypes, they have a good side, positive side. It's not to say that helping is wrong, not at all. It's about where it's coming from. And this is the distinction to make with all the archetypes. So it's like, if I am helping from a place that I'm exhausted, I really don't have the time, and somebody asks me to help them move the house on the weekend, but I already committed to maybe go and see my sister, but I am so terrified to say no that I won't help them, that they will reject me and judge me, that I will totally abandon my plans and myself and my needs for rest, maybe even, and I'll still go and help. And it's from a place of fear. So in other way, if I have a free weekend and my friend's like, can you help me move my house? And I'm like, yeah, I'm totally resourced. I'm full of energy. I have the space. I'm going. That's beautiful, right? That's friendship. So just to distinguish. Okay, so that's the helper. Any questions about helper?
No, you've just described me.
Yeah, and myself too. This is my dominant one too. Yeah, so that's beautiful that you can see it, because then, awareness is the first step in any kind of transformation. And so if we don't know, well, we can't do anything about it, right? The moment we know is when we can start catching it, and we can just do this, what I just described, this exercise, like, okay, where is it coming in? The fact that I want to help, where's it coming in from? And then you can make your conscious decision whether you help or not. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I really appreciate that. Okay, so let's go to the next one. It's the angry one. So this one is the one that, as the name says, uses anger and aggression to gain attention or to gain control. So it's with the child, it's like outbursts and defiance, when they want to have their needs met. And it's, of course, it shows up in adult life, like, well, it can be screaming, it can be criticism, it can be passive aggressive, it can be just getting frustrated with everything, like when I was living in Bali, the motorbikes sometimes are not in the best technical state, so they don't start up. So like my subconscious first reaction was like, getting like upset and was wanting to kick the bike. And then I'm like, that's gonna solve the problem, right? And so I was like, I have the angry archetype. She also thinks that when she gets angry, things will get resolved, And so, and it's really not a good one for relationships, because if we resort to anger in relationships, even though it's about just even raising a voice, we raise the voice or we criticize because we think, or we learned in childhood, and when we do that, we get attention. People suddenly pay attention to us, maybe before they were not. And so, yeah, just, and that only puts people on defense. So it doesn't work. So that's the anger one. Then we also have the joker. And so this is when the child uses humor, even playfulness, or wit to get their needs met, to get validation, attention. And this shows up as, I'm hurt. Something happened, I'm hurt, but I'm not going to show it. And I'm actually going to laugh it off or make a joke so nobody notices that I've been hurt. Because there is no capacity of the child or then the adult person to be vulnerable, because probably when they were vulnerable in the childhood, they were criticized or rejected. It's you know, sometimes in a lot of social groups we can find there's a funny person, right? You know, and they're always joking. And again, it's great to be funny, but if that person is maybe doing it even when they feel sad or they don't feel social, but it's like a role they adopted because they know that people like them, and they self-abandon their needs and where they actually are, and they just keep joking even though they feel sad, it is detrimental to their health. So again, all of these archetypes are abandonment of the self for getting some needs met.
Yeah.
So the next one is seducer. So this is using charm, flirtation, through and like getting validation through physical or emotional intimacy. And it can be just being extremely, how do you say this? Giving a lot of compliments to people, you know, and it's just like spurting them out. That's how seducer shows up. It can be using sexual energy, men, women. It can be using material possessions to seduce, you know, anything basically when whatever we're using to get our needs met instead of asking them for them. Yeah, and that this is quite addictive for people if they are not, they don't have a strong sense of self and self-worth. They can get very, very addicted to using this and getting the validation through it. Okay, and then there's the resigned one. It's, in other words, also the one that gives up. And so it's this energy of like, oh, nobody ever paid attention to me. Nobody ever met my needs. Why should I even bother to express them? It's pointless. Nobody hears me anyway. And it's like a self-protection from further rejection. It's a little bit like the victimhood mentality as well. Like everything happens to me and for me, and they're all terrible. And you know, it kind of touch on this as well. But it's a very non-active one where there's not much life in that person. It brings up a lot of sadness for me when I talk about it. Yeah, it's kind of a frozen state. I have given up. And then one more, it's the good girl or the good boy. And so this is a coping mechanism for a child with neglectful parents that had to conform to strict rules and expectations to get approval validation. In other words, they were also criticized if they weren't perfect, doing things exactly as the parents wanted. It's a lot about obedience, achievement, and it shows up later as perfectionism and a lot of anxiety. So I'm striving to be absolutely perfect, do everything right as my parents ask, so they don't hit me or they don't scream at me. And they're maybe just to keep peace. You know, it's in some households, it's not even about getting the hug and the I love you. It's really just to keep the peace, so there is no more abuse going on. And so these are the main archetypes. There are many more. There are different schools, but these are like, I find them very easy to understand and relate to. And so my invitation again is to kind of feel them. And over the next days, as you move through your life and you bring attention to your reactions or the way you're showing up, just at the back of your mind asking, is any of this showing up here? Where is it coming from? Because when we do that, the negative impact of this is we suppress our authenticity. We're abandoning our true self for some role that we believe will keep us alive. It also impacts our low self-esteem. And it's really difficult in relationships because, again, we're not being authentic. We're not able to ask for our needs. So then our partners can be very confused. You know, if we're not able to express clearly what we need, if we don't know it in first place or can't express it, then they can never meet that need. And sometimes we can get into the cycle of like, well, I just thought that you should know what I need, but people don't. We really have to know it ourselves, know how to meet them ourselves, and then also know how to express them. So would you like to share about what archetypes you feel you might be sometimes experiencing yourself?
I didn't get
Just
7. I only got 6. Was I not concentrating?
Oh, I think I said 7, but there are 6.
Okay.
Sorry. My fault. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, there's 6. Okay, and
Yes.
is it Leanne? Am I
Leanne,
pronouncing
yeah.
it right? Yeah, Leanne. Is there any of these that resonate with you, or that you feel might show up?
I think probably the good girl.
Mm-hmm.
Perfectionism and anxiety, I think, is probably me.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Yeah, very common one as well, unfortunately. Okay, Lali, how is that for you?
I was thinking, but I don't really know who I could be. Well, as well, but
I'm sorry, I don't hear you very well, but I think you're saying that.
girl, and also maybe
Okay, thank you so much. Again, an invitation is to observe it. It will become clearer, because for me, it is help. I could see the helper in the angry one, and I was like, I definitely don't have like the others. And within a few moments of time, I don't know what I was doing, but I was in some situation. I was like, oh, even the seducer's coming up. I just like made myself like smiling and like suddenly shifted. And it's so subtle sometimes how we shift. It's not like full on going into sexual seduction, which you can sometimes imagine under the word, but it's maybe just like a shift in energy and just being a little bit nicer. And I was like, what am I doing? Why am I not saying it straight? So it's very nuanced how they show up. It's not always very big and obvious. It could be a subtle shift of energy. And it's often they come up when we are triggered and when we feel maybe unsafe or insecure. That's also when they can really take over. Okay. So last few examples of how the unhealed inner child can show up. So we've seen now all these different roles they can get into and how detrimental they are to the health. So one framework to look at it is through the archetypes. And then just a few examples of if the child, for example, experiences abandonment trauma. So how does this translate to adult relationships? So there are many different ways, but for example, if the child feels, if the child was abandoned on a physical, emotional level, it generally internalizes that it's not lovable and it's not worthy, and it can also feel that it's unsafe. And it learned that it's kind of not worthy of other people meeting their needs. And so it becomes very acostumbrado.
Yeah, accustomed.
Yeah, accustomed, thank you, to the fact that then their partners don't meet their needs. And, they very much then subconsciously attract the person that does the same, behaves in the same way as their parents did. And this is because the subconscious always seeks resolution in one way, and it also seeks out what's familiar, because it deems what's familiar as safe. But it doesn't always mean that it is safe. So let's say if I grew up with a father that was that abandoned me in many different ways, my subconscious it deems that as normal. And so then subconsciously we choose partners. Subconsciously it would choose men that I would kind of relive the same situation with, until I became conscious and learn how to meet my own needs, so that no longer happens. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So very much, like you can really identify this, and it can be with business partner, this can be with a friend. It's generally the strongest with a romantic partner, because romantic partners for us become the closest attachment figure after parents, and so we subconsciously project our programming from childhood onto them. And sometimes it mixes, it doesn't have to be that. I mean, if I'm a woman dating a woman, I can also project my father onto my partner, or the other way around. I can project my mother onto my masculine partner, it's kind of energetic. It's the way they're showing up, and we choose them by that. It doesn't always have to be that it's the dad if it's a man, and it's the mom if it's the woman. And so we can also realize, because generally when you get triggered, when something happens, I don't know if you've experienced this, but it's like, oh my God, I feel like when I was young, but I'm here now. And so that feeling, whatever you get triggered into, identify what emotion that is, and that will lead to the trauma that needs to be resolved. And then you can maybe do a hypnotherapy session on it. It's a 3-hour session that I do with clients where we really go to the trauma. We find the root causes, 3 of them, we resolve them, release all the trapped emotions, reprogram the beliefs that were created, and then shift the whole narrative and story so they can actually resolve the trauma. But you can also do a lot of this work already by connecting to your inner child. And in other words, if you're growing up with parents that are not emotionally available, we also generally choose partners that are not emotionally available. And as I was saying before, if we feel we have this trauma, feeling not worthy, maybe we seek out this worth externally through buying cars and houses, through status, through maybe career, and lots of different things. So let's get and move into how do we actually meet the inner child needs. So this is really, it's done in 4 simple steps. I will just explain them now, then we'll do a break and we'll go into the experiential portion of this. So what's very important is to get into the relaxed state, and I'll help you relax. But once you get there, the first step is to establish a connection with your inner child. Number 1, we need to connect with them. And I don't know, maybe you have done inner child work, you're already connected. Some people have never done it, so they're not connected. The way I teach it, it's somatic inner child healing, because soma means body. And so we're going to be using the body to connect and find the connection through the body. So we have established a connection. And then when you establish the connection with your inner child, the second thing you want to do is validate their emotions. And it's simply by asking, how do you feel? And then repeating back, I hear that you feel sad, for example, and allowing yourself to feel it. So anything that we want to heal, we have to feel. And so for the inner child in you, it is really important to see that you actually know how they feel and you allow yourself to feel it. Because what do we do? Why exist addictions or many different things? Because we're running away from these emotions. It's a way of distraction. It's avoiding to feel. Yeah, I drink alcohol, I don't know, take drugs, whatever that is, so I don't have to feel this pain from the childhood. And so connecting with the inner child, and because now you're an adult and you do have the capacity to feel and process it, it is possible to do. For the child, why we avoid it is because when we were kids, we didn't really have much capacity. As I was saying in the beginning, we didn't really have capacity to regulate our emotions. So to feel big emotions like abandonment, rejection, it was like, no way. And we were trying to suppress and do everything so we don't feel it, because it almost felt like we wouldn't survive that emotion. And that's why a lot of people, even in adulthood, are still terrified of healing. But the difference is that now we're adults and we have different capacities and we can do it. Okay, so I just repeat. Step number 1 is establish connection. Step number 2 is validate the emotions. How do you feel? And then I hear that you feel and feel it with them. I'll guide you through it. Third one is fulfilling their needs. As we were talking a lot about unmet needs. So it's asking them, what do you need right now? And then they might tell you, you know, I need love. I need reassurance. I need to feel safe. Maybe they need to rest because you've been working, running businesses or family, whatever. Maybe they need to rest. Maybe they want to play. You know, how often do we play as adults? Very, very little. And maybe they need to feel heard or seen. They just want to tell you something. And so what you do is you're, you know, laying there, you see that happening in your mind. And as you see that playing out, for example, if my inner child tells me I need physical affection and love, I can see myself hugging her. And in that case, you can even bring your arms around and hug yourself. If she says I want to play, maybe I see her riding a bicycle. The important thing is, as you're seeing it, feel it as well. Like really feel it like if you were there. It's like doing visualizations for manifestation. You really want to feel it. And so you're having this experience of fulfilling the needs of your inner child. And my dear ladies, this is where the empowerment is. This is where we're like, oh, I can do it myself. I can feel safe. I can feel loved. I can feel whole. I no longer need to attach and need somebody, you know? And so then when we go into relationships, it's like, it's a bonus. We don't create these codependent relationships of like, make me feel loved, make me feel safe, you know? I've been there. That's why I say this. But it's very common because nobody really teaches us at school how to work with our inner child or our emotions or breath or anything, right? So the third one is fulfill their needs. And the last one is be consistent. So this is, again, super important. You're building a relationship with the inner child like if it was a child in real life here next to you. You need to invest time and you need to be present for them. They need to feel like they can rely on you. They can trust you, that you will show up for them and you will be there for them. And so what I recommend is doing it every day for 21 days. And it takes a few minutes. But it's like, I'm here, how you feel, what do you need? So is this clear?
Yes,
Amazing.
it's very well explained. You've been very clear.
Thank you. Amazing. It's a lot of different concepts and it's, yeah, I'm happy that it makes sense. So now it's the time to just tune in. Maybe you can even close your eyes, feel your body, and just tune in. What could be that topic that you would like to explore today? That you would like to get a little bit more information about, maybe where it's coming from. And again, this can be anxiety, this can be any kind of fear. Maybe you've been feeling a lot of heaviness or sadness. Maybe you've been feeling like scared to take some step at work. Anything, just tune in and see. Once you have a topic, just let me know. You don't have to share the topic, just let me know that you have one. You can share it if you want to. That is good. Great, thank you.
Yes.
Great. It's very much like an emotional state, I would say. A feeling. Yeah. Great. And Leanne, do you also have one?
Mm-hmm.
Fabulous. So I would like to, if you need, I give you a 5 minutes break, and that's if to go to the bathroom, if you need to drink water, and also to set up so you can lay down, so your body can fully relax. This can be bed, yoga mat, sofa, and then the best thing is to use headphones with a microphone, so you can. Sorry, you don't need the microphone, just headphones so you can hear me well. So yeah, maybe we come back at 8.
Okay.
Okay. Are we all here?
I don't know whether I can connect these to the computer. I always do it with my phone, but
Like a Bluetooth.
yeah, I don't know whether going to settings. If not, is it okay without them?
Yeah, if you hear me enough, then it could be.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nicer to
Yeah.
yeah, it's just for you to hear as good as possible.
Oh. Mm.
Can you hear us? Yeah. Once you're ready, laying down, please let me know because Natalie, I cannot see you very well.
Yeah, sorry. It's because it's 3 o'clock in the morning here.
Oh wow, where are you?
I'm in Australia.
Oh, that's so amazing. Wow.
It's not as dark for me as it is on the screen.
I see. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Wow, well done for getting up so early.
No worries. My pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. So I would invite you to lay down really comfortably, straight. Leave your arms alongside your body, your feet straight, legs. You can cover yourself with a blanket if you'd like to. And we'll start by taking some deep breaths. So start inhaling through your nose. And exhaling out of your mouth. I see a few of you are still settling in. So just deep inhale as if 3 now. Deep inhales in through the nose and out of the mouth. Very good. Your next inhale into your belly now, expanding it like a balloon. And letting go of any tension as you exhale. The next inhale into your body, expanding your whole body with air. And then again, letting go and relaxing and going even deeper into relaxation. You can now breathe naturally and keep your eyes closed from now on. And just imagine yourself outside in your favorite place in nature. It could be a peaceful tropical beach, a lovely old garden. Or you could imagine laying back on a boat which is sailing on a beautiful river. It really doesn't matter where you are, as long as it feels good to you. Wherever you are, it's a beautiful day. The sky is a special shade of blue, very clear, and it's a warm day, a warm summer's day. And you can feel the gentle warm rays of sunlight. And you just want to close your eyes and feel the warmth of the sun on your body. So imagine this now in your mind. And surprisingly, you find that you can direct that sun over and around your body. And as you realize this, you begin to direct the light from the sun over your face. And you can feel the warmth of the light from the sun on your face, just relaxing those muscles around the eyes and the nose and the mouth. And as you do this, you find that the facial muscles begin to flatten out as they relax. And you let go. It's a beautiful day. You move the light from the sun into the throat area, feeling the warmth of the light from the sun in your throat, relaxing all those muscles and just letting go. Now the sunlight moves into the shoulders and across the shoulders, making them feel loose and limp and comfortable. And you feel so relaxed, so comfortable and at peace with the world. And you direct the light from the sun down the right arm. And the right arm begins to relax and let go. Relax and it lets go completely. It's a beautiful feeling to be here right now. The warmth of the light from the sun penetrates the nerves and bones and muscles of the right arm. And it relaxes fully. You now move the sun over to the left arm and guide the light from the sun down and up the arm. And you can feel the left arm relaxing, becoming heavy and comfortable. Now just move the light across and into the chest area. And relax the chest and all the muscles there. Now the stomach. Relax the tummy. And allow the relaxation to spread down to your hips and thighs and the right leg. Just allow the right leg to relax. Let it feel really comfortable. And move the light down the right leg, all the way down. Now move the light into the left leg and down the left leg. All the way from the hips to the tips of the toes. The left leg relaxes, releases all tension, and you let go. Your whole body is now totally and completely relaxed. And as your body relaxes, so does your mind. And now, wherever you're laying relaxed, you see the sun ahead of you. See the clouds in the sky in different shades, red, orange, pink and purple. And the sun is a few moments away from setting. And as I count from 10 backwards down to 1, the sun sets closer and closer to the horizon. And you relax deeper and deeper with every number I say. And you feel so comfortable and so relaxed. 10. The sun goes down a little in the sky. And you feel yourself relax even more. 9. Your body is so comfortable as you continue to watch the sun go down. 8. Even deeper. Your body is so relaxed and so comfortable. It feels even heavier now. 7. You watch the sun go down, and your mind and body are even more relaxed. 6. The sun goes down even more, and you feel your body even heavier. 5. The sun is another step closer to setting on the horizon, and you're very relaxed. 4. Even deeper now. You go into relaxation and feel comfortable and heavy. 3. You watch the sun go down, down, down until it fully sets. 2. Your body and mind are fully relaxed and comfortable. And at the count of the next number, you will be even more relaxed. 1. You're now in a deep state of relaxation. And so now it's the time I would invite you to remember and begin to feel and sense into the emotion you decided to work with today. Just bring it to your awareness and focus all of your attention on the emotion you're working with. And you can set an intention now to receive an insight on this fear, anxiety, sadness, or whatever you're working with. For whatever reason, you can bring up that emotion that you wanted to work with right now. Just think of the last thing that happened when you felt that emotion. And just allow yourself to feel it, and then you can let that story go. And so just keep feeling it and breathing, and just give yourself a permission to feel it. And it may amplify, it may intensify. And as you focus on it, just ask your body, where do I feel this in my body? And just see what comes to awareness. And if you get more than one location, just ask your body, what is the main location? And really, it can be anywhere. The shoulder, a toe, the stomach, the hips, the top of the head. It can really be anywhere. Where do you feel this the strongest in your body? Once you have identified the location, now just see with your mind's eye, or simply feel, what color is that emotion? First color that comes to mind, it doesn't really matter. Again, maybe you see it or feel it. What color is it? Then is it hard or is it soft? Is it heavy or light? Just get to know it. Be curious. Observe it. Now, as you have it in your attention, you feel the emotion as well as the physical area of your body. See the color, the texture. Just ask yourself, when was the first time I remember feeling this way? And just allow that situation to come up. And maybe you see a particular situation, maybe you just feel. So focus on yourself. Around what age are you? First number that comes. Again, maybe you see this younger version in a situation, maybe you just feel them. Just be there with them. And this is maybe a time when a lot of emotions come up. So just take some deep breaths. And just get some information about what's happening for them. Who are they with? Where are they? What's happening for them? And then, like, if you could traverse timelines, please bring your adult self into this moment and be there with your little girl or boy. Get there on their level and see if you can make a contact with her or with him. You could say, hello, I would love to connect with you. And if they are open, just come closer to them. If it is difficult to connect, it could often be an indication that there may not be full trust established yet. And so you can even apologize and say, sorry that I haven't connected sooner, or that I have been abandoning you. But I'm here now, and I want to connect with you. In whatever authentic way for you, try to connect with them. And once you have established this connection, maybe you're next to them, looking at them into each other's eyes. Please ask, I would love to know, how are you feeling right now? Ask them and see, what do they say? Once they tell you, just tell them back, I hear that you feel sad or unheard, or hurt, or abandoned, or rejected, whatever it is. And then allow yourself to feel it. And once you sense that you have felt that emotion with them, and they saw that you know how they feel and felt it with them, then you can also use your breath and inhale in through the nose into that part of your body where you feel that emotion, and just blow it out. In through the nose and out. Once that emotion dissipates, it feels released, and you can ask them again, what else do you feel? And again, allow themselves, both of you, to feel it. And again, use your breath to release it. And I give you a few more moments now just to keep asking about our emotions and feeling them. You can also ask them if there's anything they would like you to know. See what they tell you. Few more moments here with the emotions, with any message, anything they'd like you to know. And just know that whenever you connect with them and it comes to this moment of feeling emotions, you never want to rush them. Because what's possible is that their emotions weren't very welcome. Your emotions as a child, maybe they weren't very welcome. And so you run to reteach your inner child and really show her or him that it's absolutely okay to feel the big emotion and that you are there for them. And then just come to the next step, and that's asking them, what do you need now? And then listen to their needs and again, repeat them back to them. What is it that you need right now? Maybe they need to feel seen or heard, be calmed, relaxed. Maybe they need love or to play. So as we were saying before, just fulfill their needs and see that playing out in your mind, and then also feel it as it's happening. If they need a hug, you can also wrap your own arms around yourself, give yourself a hug. And as you fulfill your own needs, just notice, how does it feel for them that you're there showing up for them? And then also notice, how does it feel for you showing up for them? Do you feel calmer, more empowered, loving, caring, safe? What do you notice? And again, one more time, ask them if there's anything they need right now, and go ahead and fulfill that need. And once you feel like that's complete, I would invite you to connect with them one more time and just ask them, how often would they like for you to connect with them? And this is really ideally every day, but they might say they want to be with you 8 hours a day. So you can also explain them that that's not doable for you because you have adult responsibilities like work and many other things. And so maybe agree with them if it's 5 minutes in the morning or 10 minutes before sleep, anything that works for you and for them. Because as we were saying, you're establishing a new relationship and you want to be able to show up so they can trust you and feel like you're there for them, and therefore they can feel safe. And you can also tell them now whatever else is coming for you, anything that you would like to share with them, any words of affirmation, any expression of love, anything that you feel like telling them. And then you can invite your inner child to rest within a safe space and ask them what is their safe space they would like to be resting in. And this could be with you in the present moment. This can be imaginary place like a garden or anywhere else. Just let them choose. They know. Once they pick that safe space, assure them that they are safe in a place where they feel amazing. And with that space, you can merge them into your body and allow them to integrate with you. Allow them to merge with your body, your mind, your heart. And just know that you can connect with them whenever you'd like. And it's your responsibility, not theirs. You are the parent now. Once they merge with you, start connecting with your adult self. And still stay for a few moments in this deep relaxation. And I just invite you to bring bright white light into your body through the top of your head. Allow for your whole body to be filled with this beautiful healing light. And you may see it coming from the sun, the source, God, whoever you're working with, whatever you believe in, just bring in this beautiful white healing light. And as it's pouring into your body, it is filling all the spaces from which you have released emotions, anything else that didn't serve you. It's being filled with this beautiful light, energy of unconditional love. And this light is harmonizing your entire body, all the systems. And it's also absorbing any remnant negativity. And then just let the light leave, release through your feet. And it's leaving you feeling harmonized, rested, and purified. Now I'll now count from 5 to 1, and as we get to 1, you will be completely and fully alert and aware. 5, you can start bringing your attention to your physical body, lying on the ground or bed, sofa. 4, you can start moving your toes, your fingers. 3, becoming more and more alert. 2, just coming back fully to your physical body. And at the count of the next number, you can open your eyes and come back to a seated position whenever you feel ready. I have muted all of you for the process, so once you would like to speak, just unmute yourself, please, because I can mute you, but I cannot unmute you. Take your time, no rush. Wonderful. Okay. So I would love to hear from you. How is that for you? How are you feeling? Has anything showed up? Whoever feels like sharing, please go ahead. Or if you have any questions.
I found it very relaxing. I did nod off once. And I also found that at one point my throat felt really tight.
Mm-hmm. And so when that happened, did you notice what emotion you were feeling?
No, I tried to think, but I didn't. In my mind, the other thing as I'm looking at is my battery on my computer is low. So if you lose me, I apologize. The other thing I found that I was, it was quite difficult with the inner child and me. I found it hard sometimes to differentiate between what I was feeling in me and what I was feeling for my children and how they feel. So it was changing in my mind as I lay there.
And do you mean for your children that you have like in your adult life, like your kids?
Yes, my kids, yeah.
Oh,
So
and
I just kept getting confused with that in yeah.
Yeah, that would be interesting to explore, because when you connect to the inner child, did you see any situation that she was in?
That my daughter was in.
No, when you connect to your inner child through the emotion that you were working on, then would any situation show up, like where that was coming from?
I don't know. I think it was for me, I kept overanalyzing. I kept trying to link too many things together.
It's natural too. You can first thing you can do is this has been recorded, so it will be shared, and so you can use this as a guided audio and do it again. I think we might be losing you now. No, you're there. Okay. So this has been recorded, so you can use it as a guiding, audio, and just go through the process again. And really just not trying to analyze, like really just feeling into the body and then letting things come up. The other thing is that, sometimes we have a lot of protective mechanisms at play that don't allow us so simply connect with the inner child. And so this is when you can benefit from the one-to-one work. Because sometimes I have clients that come to me and they're like, I've tried hypnotherapy and I can't see anything. And it's because we also need to do parts work. We need to find these different parts that it might be protecting from the access to the inner child, because that's what they feel they're doing, but they're actually not being helpful. So there's many different things that can be happening and that can be at play. So I will also send you all an email, so you'll have my contact and you'll have, you know, more details, so you can keep asking me questions, or if you feel like we can work together, I can help you with that as well. But
Mm.
yeah.
That happened to me as well, where I kept, because that's my thing, right, is to be really helpful. So I'm immediately tuning into other people and having to kind of detox from other people's problems. And I saw, and my daughter and my granddaughter as well, like, kept coming up for me. So I kept tuning into the part of my body that I started with, which was my stomach. And that was connecting me to me, and it made me also parallel a little bit with my daughter, because she's about to go to Bali on holiday and is really anxious, and I realized that there is a connection as well to why she's anxious. And then I brought that back to myself again, because I abandon, you know, like there's that inner child is quite cross with me for continuously focusing on other people and not listening to them, and abandoning that. So there was quite a lot of emotion in there, and I think I like you said, I'm sure there's probably lots of reasons why your children come up, but it's much easier to focus on them than that your own inner child that's really cross with you and has those feelings. And my my stomach was going crazy. I was like, I really hope they can't hear this.
Yeah, so it might be, first of all, like, you know, we store all the emotions that we don't process in our bodies.
Yeah.
And everybody has a different specific place where it goes. For me, it was the left shoulder, and I was the left hip. So if that's in your stomach, I just invite you to connect there and go there and feel it, you know, and just be with it. And then use your breath. You don't even, like, you just use your breath to release it. And then you can, of course, connect it to the inner child. And as you're saying, this is so normal that when we abandon our kids, they're just so upset. They can take time to trust us. And so it's just repeatedly, softly, with acceptance and love, coming back to them. And if you feel the anger of your inner child, I invite you to really go for it and, like, feel it, and even scream it out. You can hit the mattress underneath you, you know, like, really use that energy of anger that has been suppressed to release it. Yeah, and there will be connection with kids. You know, everything's linked. As we were saying, it's like what you experience in childhood. It's because it's a lot of it is subconscious that stays with you. Is you will pass it on to your kids. This is what happens in every family, and so there might be similar patterns. They're connected. It's fascinating to also look into that. But that yeah, it's, again, that would have to be more of a one-to-one work, where we could find out, you know, how you're maybe with your daughter playing into each other's dynamics. But first and foremost is to come back to yourself, your needs, your inner child. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. Beautiful. Okay, thank you. Lali, would you like to share anything or ask anything?
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, I cannot hear you. It might be the headphones. Maybe you can try to disconnect them, maybe. Yeah, let's see.
Okay. Well, I feel my inner child very clearly, and she was very angry, and I felt it here. And well, I try to comfort her, and well, I think it's something very very good to repeat and try to heal.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing. And by the way, you know, with anger, anger is a little different to the other emotions. Anger is very activating, and it's one of the responses of the nervous system. To release anger, we generally have to get it out, like all the emotions. But the anger needs movement. It needs sound. It needs, you know, like, so when you feel her anger, maybe she needs to stamp her feet. Maybe you need to hit some pillows. Maybe you need to scream into pillows. Like, I really, really encourage this. Or like, if you have a garden and a stick, you can smash the stick, you know, like really physically through the body and the voice, get the anger out. Because if somebody's angry and you just say, calm down, or it won't work. Because the energy that we really have to physically, and it can be just shaking, it can be dancing, you know, with some like wild music, really somatically through the body, get it out. Because under the anger, there will be more vulnerable emotions. Generally, anger is kind of a protective as well, you know, because it kind of gives us a sense of, I'm in power when I'm angry. When I'm sad and hurt, I don't really feel in power. So we often need to release the anger so we can get to those deeper emotions, and then feel them, you know, and then there might be the abandonment underneath there, or loneliness, or sadness, anything else.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much. So again, yeah, I would just encourage you to now do it every day for the next at least 21 days, a few minutes. And yeah, and don't feel like, exactly, like if there's anger, move. If there is a sadness, cry it out. You know, the tears really help. Really, the purpose of all of this is to release it all, and then to be able to meet your own needs.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
I think that's really good.
Thank you so much for being here. I really honor you for showing up for yourself, for, you know, spending this time, dedicating it to yourself, to your inner child, to your transformation, because it will do a lot for yourself, and then also as a ripple effect for everybody around you. And it's a way to improve relationships and feel more self-love and self-worth. So it's a really wonderful work.
Thanks to
Yeah.
you for showing us and
yeah, thank you for the time.
Thank you so much. Beautiful. So as I said, I'll send you an email. So if anything comes up for you, let me know. And also now give yourself some time to integrate, and maybe still be with yourself or journal about something that came up. Give yourself some, like at least half an hour maybe before you move on to the next thing.
okay.
Great.
All right. Thank you, beautiful ladies. I wish you a wonderful rest of the day or night, wherever you are. And we're connected.
Same for you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.